you ask just about anyone in Wisconsin where the rowdiest place to watch a football game is, it's likely they'd point you towards the home of the Wisconsin Badgers at Camp Randall Stadium. But years before Camp Randall looked like this, or played host to record-breaking moments like this.
5 to the 20, Gordon 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Wisconsin! Record-breaking run, 4:08.
Before it sounded like this. It looked something like this. But to get the full picture of the history of Camp Randall Stadium, you need to go back a little bit further. Originally owned by the Wisconsin State Agricultural Society, after the outbreak of the Civil War, the property was offered up to the state as a training ground for troops. By May 1st, 1861, soldiers began to pour into the camp. The first winter saw 9,000 troops quartered at Camp Randall, and eventually over half of the state's nearly 100,000 troops trained there at one time or another. In 1862, 1,400 sick and wounded Confederate troops who were captured in Mississippi were brought to Camp Randall. Many of these Southern soldiers died of their wounds and are buried in a cemetery on Madison's west side. The area, now known as Confederate Rest, is the northernmost Confederate cemetery in the United States. After the war concluded, the state legislature presented the property to the university, and shortly after, Camp Randall was put to use for athletics. At first, only track and field events were played, but in 1899, the first football game was played in the camp. In 1915, during a game against Minnesota, the wooden bleachers collapsed. Nobody was hurt, and the event paved the way for the construction of Camp Randall as we know it, which held its first game in 1917. Years later, and several renovations later, Camp Randall the way we know it has been transformed. The venue holds over 80,321 fans who get to enjoy games every season at Camp Randall.